Have you ever wondered what happens to your body when a mosquito bites you? Picture this. You're sitting outside on a warm summer evening, enjoying the sunset. Suddenly you feel a sharp prick on your arm. You look down to find a mosquito happily feasting away. Almost instantly you feel an itch. But why does this happen? Well, the culprit behind this uncomfortable sensation is the mosquito's saliva. Yes, you heard that right. When a mosquito bites, it doesn't just suck your blood. It also injects its saliva into your body. This saliva, which is packed with proteins, is not something your body is used to. As a result, your immune system jumps into action. But let's pause for a moment. Why does your immune system care about mosquito saliva? You see, your immune system's job is to protect your body from foreign substances. It's like your body's own private security team. When the mosquito injects its saliva, your immune system recognizes these foreign proteins and sees them as a threat. In response to this perceived threat, your immune system releases a chemical called histamine. Histamine is a bit like your body's fire alarm. It signals to your body that something is wrong and draws more blood to the area of the mosquito bite. This increased blood flow results in inflammation or swelling, which is often the first thing you notice after a mosquito bite. But that's not all histamine does. It also irritates your nerve cells, causing that familiar itching sensation. It's your body's way of telling you that something's not right. So, the next time you're swatting away at a mosquito, remember that the itching is not just an annoyance. It's your body's way of responding to the mosquito's unwelcome saliva. So the itching sensation is just the beginning of the story. But what happens next? Now you might be thinking, why does a mosquito bite in the first place? Well, the answer is rather fascinating. Mosquitoes, specifically female mosquitoes, need a blood meal. But it's not because they're thirsty for our blood like some sort of miniature vampires. No, they need it for a much more critical reason. They need the proteins found in our blood to develop their eggs. You see, male mosquitoes are quite content sipping nectar from plants. They have no need nor desire to bite us. It's the female mosquitoes who are the culprits behind these annoying, itchy bites. The protein and iron found in our blood are essential nutrients for their eggs. In essence, our blood is the fuel for the next generation of mosquitoes. While it's not exactly comforting to know that our bodies are essentially nurseries for mosquito offspring, it does bring a bit of understanding to the whole process. And here's another interesting tidbit. Not all mosquitoes are created equal. Different species have different preferences when it comes to their blood meals. Some prefer birds, others prefer amphibians, and yes, some prefer humans. So when you feel that familiar sting and start to itch, it's not just because a mosquito decided to use you as a snack, it's a female mosquito fueling up to lay her eggs. And while it's not exactly a pleasant experience for us, it's a crucial part of the mosquito's life cycle. Just as we humans need certain nutrients to survive and reproduce, so too do mosquitoes. And while we might wish they'd find another source for their protein needs, the fact remains that we are an accessible and abundant source. So when a mosquito bites, it's not just for a snack, but a necessary step in their reproductive process. It's a small, yet significant part of the complex web of life that connects all living creatures on this planet. So, how does a mosquito bite? Well, it's not as simple as you might think. A mosquito doesn't just bite and fly away. No, it has a whole process, a method to its madness, if you will. First, let's talk about the mosquito's mouth parts. They're not like ours. Instead of teeth, a mosquito has a long, thin, needle-like structure called a proboscis. This proboscis is actually made up of several different parts, each with its own role to play in the biting process. The mosquito starts by using two parts of its proboscis, the maxillae and the mandibles, to pierce the skin. These are like tiny, ultra-sharp knives that the mosquito uses to cut through our skin. It's so precise, so delicate that we often don't even feel it. Once the mosquito has broken the skin, it uses another part of its proboscis, the labrum, to probe around under the skin until it locates a blood vessel. This is the mosquito's target. The labrum is flexible and can move around under the skin, searching for that perfect spot to tap into our blood supply. When the mosquito finds a blood vessel, the real action begins. The labrum bends into a U-shape, creating a straw-like structure that the mosquito uses to suck up our blood, but it's not a one-way process. As the mosquito is drinking our blood, it's also injecting something into us. It's saliva. The mosquito's saliva is not just a byproduct of its feeding process. It's an essential part of the bite. The saliva acts as an anticoagulant, keeping our blood from clotting so the mosquito can keep drinking. But it's not just a helpful tool for the mosquito, it's also the reason we itch, swell, and sometimes get sick from mosquito bites. It's this saliva that causes all the trouble. But what's so special about mosquito saliva, you might ask? Well, it's not just a random gross insect fluid, it's actually a finely tuned cocktail of chemicals, each with a specific job, that enables the mosquito to have its meal. Let's start with the anticoagulants. These are substances that prevent our blood from clotting, or in other words, turning from a liquid into a semi-solid state. When a mosquito bites, it needs to ensure that the blood it's siphoning off keeps flowing freely. If our blood were to clot at the side of the bite, it would be like trying to drink a milkshake through a straw that's blocked. Not a pleasant experience, right? The anticoagulants in mosquito saliva do just that. They keep our blood in its liquid state, allowing the mosquito to feed. But there's more to mosquito saliva than just anticoagulants. It also contains a variety of proteins. These proteins are foreign to our bodies, and our immune system recognizes them as such. This triggers an immune response, which includes the release of histamine. Histamine causes our blood vessels to expand, which allows more blood and immune cells to reach the site of the mosquito bite. This is what causes the swelling and redness that we associate with mosquito bites. The histamine also irritates our nerves, leading to that infamous itch. It's our body's way of telling us that something's not right. But in this case, the something is the mosquito saliva. So the itch isn't just annoying. It's also a sign that our body is doing its job, reacting to the foreign substances introduced by the mosquito. In addition, some of these proteins in the mosquito saliva can also trigger an allergic reaction in some people, leading to more severe symptoms like hives or even anaphylaxis. But this is relatively rare, and for most of us, the itch and swelling are the extent of our body's reaction to a mosquito bite. So our body's reaction to a mosquito bite is actually a response to its saliva. It's not just about the bite itself, but about the complex chemical cocktail that the mosquito leaves behind. So what's the long-term impact of a mosquito bite? When a mosquito bites, it injects its saliva into our skin. This saliva, as we learned earlier, is not just a lubricant, but a cocktail of proteins and enzymes. Our body, recognizing these foreign substances, triggers an immune response. The immune system's primary defense warriors, white blood cells, rush to the site of the bite. They produce histamine, a compound that increases blood flow and white blood cell engagement in the affected area. Now histamine also triggers an inflammatory response, causing the area to swell and itch. This is the infamous mosquito bite bump we all know and detest. It's your body's way of saying, hey, we've got an intruder and we're dealing with it. So in a way, that annoying itch is a sign of your immune system at work. However, it's not all heroic immune responses and harmless bumps. Sometimes the aftermath of a mosquito bite can be far more severe. Mosquitoes are notorious vectors for disease transmission. When they feed off an infected host and then bite a human, they can transmit diseases like malaria, dengue, and Zika virus, among others. Malaria, for instance, is caused by a parasite that the mosquito carries. When the mosquito bites, this parasite is transferred into the human bloodstream. It then travels to the liver, where it multiplies and eventually bursts out, invading red blood cells, causing symptoms like fever, chills, and sweating. Similarly, dengue fever, another mosquito-borne disease, can cause high fever, severe headache, joint and muscle pain, and even life-threatening dengue hemorrhagic fever or dengue shock syndrome. In essence, the aftermath of a mosquito bite varies from a simple itchy bump to potentially life-threatening diseases. It reminds us of the importance of mosquito control and protection measures. So while a mosquito bite might seem like a small annoyance, it's a complex process with potential long-term impacts.